originated over 45 years ago.
Oh
with the
yeah,
first
this is
comic
the
coming
good
out in
stuff.
1978.
This is
As
the good
funny
stuff.
orange cat in his daily
Hell
antics grew in
yeah.
popularity, he got movies where he looks like this for some reason.
This is the
TV
content
shows,
I
some
need
theme
these
park
days.
rides, and of course a ton of merch. Although, as usual with pop culture icons that have been popular for many years, sometimes they go really out there with the ideas, resulting in some very peculiar and sometimes cursed items. Today we'll be taking a look at the weirdest Garfield items I could find, from funny looking mugs to hauntingly terrifying knockoff plushies and more.
I still want
and like
that
always in these
plushie.
videos, it'll be split into 3 parts.
But I want to keep it vacuum
miscellaneous,
sealed.
technology, and food. First up is food. To be honest, there isn't really that many Garfield-themed food items like at all for some reason. First up, there's some fruit snacks from the 90s, and the only photos of the fruit snacks themselves I can find look like this. Obviously, these photos were taken recently, and
Have you guys seen the picture of what that Garfield looks vacuum sealed? Like the knockoff one? It comes like this. I want him. I want to keep it vacuum sealed. I want to preserve him. They're always like so terrifying when they're sealed. I want to get that one at some point.
they've probably been sitting in a box for over 20 years straight. They also made these fruit strips called Fat Cat Funnies that had Garfield comics printed on the fruit strip itself. Although the only
Fat
proof
Cat
of its
Funnies.
existence is this commercial from 1991. There's no other photos of them on the internet. There's also another Garfield fruit
I just want to
strip that had little
preserve
cutouts
them.
of the characters.
That's
I'm
all.
surprised nobody ended up
The
doing like
wrinkle boys.
lasagna-themed fruit snacks similar to the Krabby Patties from SpongeBob. But other than that, there's just some candies like the fish-shaped candy where Garfield says "Got fish" on the packaging, some random bubblegums and chocolates, and these things called headbutt candy lollipops. This one really do be going like There's also some weird gumball dispensers. Whoa, are you okay, bro? Not gonna lie,
Oh
this
my
was giving me
God.
the heebie-jeebies. There's obviously
Never
a bunch
trust
of
a
Pez
smiling
dispensers, too.
cat.
Basically every character in existence has a goddamn Pez dispenser, and I guess cat food technically goes under the food category. This Garfield-themed cat food comes in a really cursed container, so I thought I'd mention it. And finally, there's a Garfield-themed cereal only released in Mexico that comes in chocolate, fruity, or vanilla. The only other Garfield cereal to ever exist is this one
I
from
wonder
all the
why
way
it was
back in
only there.
1985. The only proof of this thing's existence, though, is this singular
20%
picture
off new
of a coupon
Quaker
that has a drawing of
Garfield
the box.
cereal.
It apparently came out in raspberry or blueberry, and it was produced by Quaker. But other than that, that's literally
I love Garfield's most common phrase. Real fruit in every bite.
all we know about this item's existence. For all we know, it might
know,
not
the
have even
common
existed at all,
Garfield
as not a
phrase.
single photo of the box has ever been found. Here's a hypothetical recreation someone on
Real
Reddit
fruit
made
in
of the
every
box art.
bite.
And besides that, not a single other Garfield cereal was ever made. He was occasionally plastered onto cereal boxes for advertising purposes, and there were also
chemicals.
many Garfield toys you could find in various cereal boxes. Which moves us on to the next section, toy/miscellaneous. Every once in a while, there's a Garfield-themed toy at the bottom of random cereal boxes. It's always just some random
Oh,
dumb, useless
God.
item, but the most peculiar scoundrels I can find are the freaking Garfield bike reflectors. Not only do these just look really creepy, but its existence is just so obscure. Out of all things to make Garfield
kinda
themed,
like
a
it.
freaking bike reflector that's specifically attainable by finding it at the bottom of a cereal box. Speaking of finding Garfield items in your food, let's take a look at the many Garfield fast food
Garfield.
toys. In 2013, Burger King
Oh
had a
my
set of
God.
Garfield toys, including this goofy tic-tac-toe board that's just made of Garfield's body. This dingus looks so scrumbly. I love him. A few years later in 2016, there was another set of thingamajigs, and my favorites are the Garfield watch, whatever this down the hatch toy is, and the Yummy in My Tummy toy. Why are they so goofy looking? They also made this really ugly figure in 2004 to promote the live-action Garfield movie,
God.
and it just looks so weird. Also in 2006,
I really
Wendy's
liked
made
the
a
Garfield
Garfield-themed
movie, to be honest.
whiteboard. For some reason, there were never any Garfield Hot Wheels, but there were many Garfield-themed die-cast cars made by other companies, specifically Ertl, or however you pronounce that. They kind of just made a few random things, like a doghouse car that Odie is riding on, this toy horse that isn't even a car, Garfield driving a
God.
Volkswagen with a hat on, and Garfield driving an ice cream stand. But the funniest one is the lasagna truck, because his massive head pokes out and his
Yeah,
face looks so
Garfield car.
scary.
Oh, God.
Every once in a while, there was a Garfield-themed board game, the first one being this one that's literally just called Garfield. It was released all the way back in 1981, and it's just a standard board game where you roll some dice and move along the path. There's also the Garfield kitty letter games, which is just some kind of spelling game. Garfieldopoly
What?
is,
Sorry,
you
I
guessed it,
gotta,
a Garfield-themed Monopoly game. It
blink
came out
it.
in 2012, and in this picture you can see the funny Garfield cat cache you use in-game and some of the items you play as. An actual official Garfield Monopoly spin-off did come out in 2003 as a collector's edition, so it's very rare. As you can see, these are the funny little metal items you play as. Plushies as a merch item are notoriously known for being very easy to mess up, so let's take a look at the weirdest Garfield plushies I could find.
Yeah,
This
let's go.
rapscallion from 1981 is just a snowman with the head replaced with Garfield for some reason. This is such a
God.
monstrosity. Why does it even exist? There was also a line of
love
Garfield
it.
plushies where they replaced his face with emoji faces. Hell no, they zoomerified Garfield. There's also a bunch of these plushies that just have random colors and textures slapped on.
I
Not
kinda
gonna
want the
lie,
flame
flaming green
one.
Garfield goes
That's
kinda hard.
sick.
Although the most insane official plushie to ever exist is the limited edition massive 5-foot-tall Garfield plushie, released in 2020. Gee willikers, would you look at the size of this thing? Apparently only around 7 of them were made, and they were auctioned off with the money given away to charity. Normally I don't talk about knockoffs, but this rascal has reached such a legendary status in the Garfield community that I just have to mention it. He is known as the Fat Orange Cat plush, which is obviously a knockoff Garfield. I don't know when this
I want
elusive
the
being
big
appeared
one.
into this world and graced us with his legendary presence, but whenever it did, it took over the dropshipping world by storm. Fat Orange Cat plush quickly rose to the top of every online store, swiftly invading Amazon to the point where you can scroll through almost hundreds of different sellers selling the exact same goddamn knockoff Garfield. Wait a second, this one got it though. Wait, is that a flop?
that one kinda goes
As you
hard.
browse through the infinite copy-pasted Fat Orange Cat plushies, every once in a while you come across one with some extra clothing on. It's like finding a shiny Pokemon or getting a rare NFT. Here are all the variants I can
God.
find on Amazon.
my God.
There's him as a chef, a clown holding a donut, wearing an eye patch, multiple different random Halloween themed ones, a pirate costume, police costume, 2 witch
Wait, they just
Garfields,
put
and
cat
this one
outfits
with
on
some
him.
nice drip. Personally, I'd call this one something like Swag Garfield or Entrepreneur Garfield, but whoever's selling it just called it Man Cat? I continued to research into this item because it genuinely fascinated me how there were so many of them.
They're
And
just
I
getting
ended
cat
up finding some
costumes and putting 'em
interesting
on them.
anomalies in the store page descriptions. One of them has this customer review graphic that not only doesn't have any reviews, just some random pictures of the plushies, but on the bottom left corner there's
Oh my
just a
God.
picture of Ed Sheeran for no freaking reason at all? What the
I know the reason. Because he has a lazy eye. So they're just like, it looks just like him.
The devils is bro doing here? Another description unironically says exquisite details like dimensional eyes and beard help bring this cute and
Beard?
adorable kitty cat to life. First off, what the frick does dimensional
They're the
eyes
same
mean?
picture.
And secondly, he does not have a beard. What? It then goes on to say, truly a gift from the gods. Oh great heavens, that is a bold statement. And finally, I found this image in a description that completely baffles me to this day. It's just a random screen cap from the terrible live-action Garfield movie with this disgustingly ugly text plastered on top that says, OMG, 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 you just
ordered this.
and
Every moment will be eager anticipation until he arrives. He's already whispered his name to me across oceans.
He will
You
be
regard
Garfons.
fonts?
Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will
I
be right
love
here
this.
waiting for you. Whatever it takes, or how my heart breaks, I will be right here waiting for you. I'm genuinely flabbergasted at this. What the frick? By the way, the last few sets of
I
lines
love
are just
this.
copy-pasted lyrics from the song Right Here Waiting, which is completely unrelated.
Oh
But
my
before we move
God.
on, it's kind of a meme for people to write
This is
really
great.
funny reviews about this plushie, so here's a few of my favorites. Favorite little man. He's just a little guy. Friend-shaped.
just a little
Horrifying.
guy.
He is so perfect, yet so disturbing. He watches me while I sleep, but I don't sense any threatening aura from him. I am scared and somehow comforted. Adorable! He appears at the foot of my bed at 3 a.m., but he is very lovely. 10 out of 10. Splendid! But he is an absolute foul house guest. The first day I allow him in, he steals my cigarettes and pees on the floor. I've decided to slam him against the wall, and he is now behaving. Be warned. He is perfection. He loves to do his little dance. He's always watching. Once free from his suffocating vacuum-sealed prison, he took a deep breath and came to life.
I
Now
loved,
he sits in
like,
silence,
Amazon
always watching
reviews.
my every move. Everything
I
in life
see,
has
Sai,
led
it
up
was
to this
good.
point. I knew something was missing in my life. I had a void in my heart that seemed eternally empty, wandering through the deep forest of mental isolation. I had no hope for any kind of redemption. Then, this arrived on my doorstep. The sun was shining. The stars in the night sky twinkled with an omnipresence of love and tender care. My life was at a point of idle waste, but no more, not ever again, for this heavenly being has thrown the life preserver into my sea of despair. After reading these reviews, I obviously had to get one for myself, so here he is in his vacuum-sealed prison. Let's just get him out of there and revel in his beauty. Well, I'm gonna go to sleep now, but I'm a little unsettled by him, so I'll just set him down on the ground and set up this camera to monitor him. Other Polygon Donut, I'm tuckered out, so please continue the video for me. Okay, other Polygon Donut. I also found some plushies of Garfield wearing Garfield slippers. Without any context, it just looks like he's an eldritch being that has an extra head on each leg. There's also a Christmas-themed version wearing Santa slippers. Speaking of slippers, there's many real Garfield slippers you can wear of varying curse levels. These ones are pretty passable, just standard-themed slippers. These ones are a little weirder, but then these geezers look like they're going I also found these ones where he's wearing a royal outfit that looks pretty cool. These ones are insanely fluffy and look a little bizarre. And finally, there's these two Christmas ones. For the full Garfield fit, you could also wear the classic Garfield onesie that looks so goddamn ugly. Moving on to some more obscurely random Garfield products, we have the terrifying Garfield staple remover. Why did they have to make him so freaking scary looking? Bro looks like he's a goddamn FNAF animatronic. I was so flabbergasted at this design, so I originally thought it was custom made, but it's genuinely a real product, as you can see from the packaging. There's also two different Garfield scissors you can get. These ones look really weird because when you open them, his entire head splits in half. Like, it's cute that the eyes are the handles, but that just makes it so much more cursed. The other one has some 3D details and actually looks pretty cool. The next item, the Garfield globe, is genuinely one of the coolest items
actually
I've seen
really
so
fucking
far.
good.
But then I noticed that when you look closely, for some reason there's a giant Garfield just sitting on the top of the entire Mexico-US border. But this isn't the only random Garfield placement. In fact, the entire globe is covered in Garfields, which is honestly really cool. We've got the Brazilian Garfield, this one in India, the Great Garfield Compass, this one in Australia, the massive Garfield globe sign that floats in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and a surfing Garfield that's surfing around Hawaii. Moving on to some kitchen Garfield items, let's start out with the Garfield teapots. First up is this silly doodad from 2002. I genuinely love this design. It's so creative the way they converted the character into this complex but functional shape. On the other hand, this one is freaking horrible. Not only are most of the details just some line art on the body itself, but they made the face have a flip-up mechanism to pour the water. Also, there's two holes on his pupils that the steam apparently rises up from while it's boiling, which probably looks so cursed. This goofball is definitely the best one, because it doesn't even look like a teapot at all. All the functionality is hidden in the subtle details, such as the tail handle and the fish he's holding pours the water. The only weird thing is that you have to decapitate the back of his skull to pour the water in. This one also has a seamless design, but his face looks a little unusual, and you have to take the water comes out of his skull again to pour the water in. Obviously, we need some cups to pour our tea in, so let's start out with this Garfield mug. Once again, I just love when they shapeshift the character into the item they're making. It makes it look so beautiful and so cursed at the same time. This one, on the other hand, is just cursed and nothing else. It was apparently sold in movie theaters for the live-action Garfield movie. Although, if you want to look like this, you can use the Garfield Happy Meal mugs from 1987. These just so happen to have 1,000 times the legal amount of lead in the paint, which turns out to be a pretty big health risk, considering that lead poisoning can lead to brain damage or cancer. Jokes aside, if you've drank from one of these before, you're not gonna instantly die. It takes a lot of exposure for it to really be dangerous, but definitely don't use them if you still have them. If you want more information, there's already a whole video about this topic, so link in the description. There's also a bunch of ceramic cups of his head that look really funny. There's a Christmas one, an angry one, a devious one, and an even more devious geezer, and more. Speaking of ceramics, there's also the tall Garfield vase. This thing actually scares me because it looks like it could just fall over at any second. There's also a vase where he's climbing a tree trunk and his face looks really strange when you look closely. And the planter is really funny looking because they just turned Bro's body into a pot shape. The Garfield cookie jar is pretty cute, and the Garfield bowl is a little funky looking. This picture frame is also really unsettling. Why is he just holding his entire stomach open like that? Oh god. But the most cursed Garfield ceramic is the Garfield jack-o'-lantern. Since it's meant to be a Halloween decoration, they actually made it cursed on purpose this time. The next item though, I have no clue what they were thinking when making this. This is the Garfield scooter, and it's genuinely one of the worst Garfield products I've ever seen. It's just so wrong on so many levels. Moving on to some furniture items, there's this Garfield mini table that genuinely looks really good. It's got an impressively high quality figure of Garfield as the stand, but then there's the knockoff Garfield coffee table, and this thing is just a mess. Not only does the face look disgusting, the model quality is so ugly and cheap looking, but there's also just this massive tail sticking out for no reason. It wastes so much much space and is probably so easy to bump into and knock everything off the table. Another
I like
knockoff
it.
Garfield furniture item is the Garfield chair. John, take a seat, John. Not only does this thing just look so disturbing, but for some reason, one of the only photos I could find of it has a picture of the 1984 book photoshopped in for some reason. There's also this Garfield armchair, which I'm pretty sure is official because it looks really high quality. But this is the single only image I can find of it
We're
on
looking
the
at
internet,
Cursed
so I have no
Garfield
clue if it even
Products.
exists. And I guess the Garfield
Let
slumber
him
tent from the
embrace
80s is
you.
technically a furniture item. Oh yes, I've always wanted to be inside Garfield. But the most legendary Garfield furniture item is the Garfield couch. Now this item—
Oh my god, there's no way that's real. What? It just looks like a regular couch that they painted on. That has to be
actually
made by
has some
someone.
lore. It was specifically custom made for a single episode in the TV show I Think You Should Leave from 2019. I've never seen the
What?
show, but on episode—
Oh, wait, look at the chair. Look at the chair, like, behind
episode
it.
6, they featured an entire specifically custom made for a single episode in the TV show I Think You Should Leave from 2019. I've never seen
The chair as well! Like the gray cat. They turned them into a chair and they just look shocked. Oh
the show, but on
god.
episode 6, they featured an entire Garfield-themed house as a set. When they built the set, they took an insanely high-quality
Wow, that's actually
360
kinda
image
good
of it that you
though.
can check out for yourself.
The
Link
Odie! The Odie! Oh my god, look at his tongue! I am not gonna lie. Oh, I just realized the phone as well. I would unironically wanna live here.
Link in the description. As you can see, there's a custom Garfield-themed archway, an Odie lamp, an Odie chair, and the legendary
my
Garfield
God.
couch itself. The whereabouts of the couch is currently unknown, but many have claimed to see it on a few listings
What?
online, and eventually
But
this
it's
photo of
kinda
it surfaced.
cute.
And now, it's finally time to move on to the last section, technology. Starting out with some normal household items, let's take a look at the Garfield lamps. This one is so weird looking.
Oh,
I love how
God.
the light just beams down from below his body. This one is much less cursed. It's just a good looking Garfield model with a lampshade on top. And this one is an even better version of the same thing. There's also a Garfield lava lamp where the lamp juts out of
Oh
his
my
skull.
God.
Although the best one is the Garfield fish tank lamp. This
That's
thing
cute,
doubles
but
as
it's
a
not
fully
good for the
functional
fish.
tank and a lamp at the same time. Although when the light
Functional
is
is
on,
arguable.
only
You
the
shouldn't
head
put
glows
fish in
bright
that.
red, which is really unsettling. Also, you're able to take off the head to feed the fish, which is pretty funny. Next, we have the many Garfield clocks of varying
think I've
degrees
seen
of
the-
curseness.
the-
With
the
this
lying
one, we
down
can check off
clock
the putting numbers in the character's
before.
mouth, because this always happens at least once in my Cursed Products videos. This one is kind of cute. This one just
Yeah.
goes hard, goddamn. This one is a little cursed looking, and then this one really do be going like, El Mimer. Although the worst one is the plushie clock, where they surgically added a clock into his stomach and gave him a terrifying smile. And to make it even worse, they just had to make the eyes glow in the dark just to
Why?
jump scare you in the middle of the night. This Garfield radio is also really terrifying and has the same goddamn smile as the plushie clock. Why do they need to do this to him? Please
Why?
stop. We also have the Garfield calculator, where instead
Husband.
of just putting the numbers in his mouth, they put all the goddamn gizmos
Hello,
and
hello.
gadgets in there. But the most disturbing Garfield mechanism is the vibrating massager. Why does he want to rub me so badly? Please no. On the box, they have an artwork of Garfield using the Garfield massager, which is just so weird to see. The item itself is really funny
That's
looking.
so
I love
scary,
it so
what
much.
the
Next, we have the legendary handheld Garfield game, released by
Yo,
Konami in the
welcome,
90s. Thankfully, the game
senpai and
itself
Fresh.
is fully
Hope you guys are
archived
doing
online,
good.
and
What's
someone
good?
on Ishireo even made a full
Oh god,
interactable
these are
3D
so
model
scary.
of the handheld too. It's a pretty simple game where you jump around to avoid random foods and collect the lasagna from John whenever it's ready. Although, if you want a more modern Garfield gaming item,
Yo,
in 2021,
Konami?
Microsoft did a giveaway for a Garfield-themed Xbox Series S to celebrate Garfield being added to Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. It's kind of a lame design though. They just made an orange, slapped on some line art, and called it
I
a
still
day.
want it.
Instead of opening loot boxes on your Garfield Xbox,
I
why
like
don't we go all the
Garfield,
way and
okay.
just start full-on gambling with Garfield instead? Here's a few official Garfield slot machines I could find. Also, specifically the LED signs on top have multiple listings on
Garfield.
eBay. I don't know how people got these, but they look like a pretty cool decoration.
Really
There's also a
advertising
few
to the kids
Garfield-themed
early.
coin-operated kiddie rides. This is the most iconic one. This one you get to sit next to Garfield.
They're not kitty rides, like with the D. They're kitty rides, like cat.
in a green car, and this one is a goddamn Garfield rocket ship. Although I'd rather use my coins for Garfield arcade machines, which surprisingly there just isn't any at all. The only Garfield arcade machine I can find is this Chinese knockoff Garfield kart machine, which turned out to be the most surprising rabbit hole I never expected to find.
Garfield
First off,
kart
this
so
thing shouldn't
bad.
even exist at all, because a Chinese version of Garfield kart has never been made. In 2022, someone on the Garfield kart subreddit posted about this machine, and ended up creating a Google Doc of every single piece of information they could possibly find about this arcade machine. The document goes on to highlight the differences in the UI we could see in a few pictures. We can tell that they did much more than simply replace some text, as many UI elements have been fully adjusted. In this image, we see a Ready Go pop-up, which simply doesn't happen in the main game. The machine also features prizes in the middle, so there's some kind of prize redemption system added in as well. Another anomaly is that in 2018, a picture of this machine, but with English text instead of Chinese text, was posted onto Twitter, and the text says Coffee Cat Karting for some reason. To this day, we still don't really know anything about this machine. Nobody has posted about seeing it in real life, and there's never been any gameplay footage. For now, it remains as a mystery to the Garfield kart community, and the only Garfield-related arcade machine to have ever been produced. And now, for the final set of products, we have the Garfield phones. First, we have the rectangular ones. This one is really weird because it's just another rectangular phone, but with the most unnecessarily big Garfield case. There's also this one that has a figure of Garfield on the phone on the back of the phone. The laying down Garfield phone has a pretty cool design. There's also this flip phone where the entire thing is this weird model of Garfield with a soccer ball. This is legit the dude that bullied you in PE class. There's a few of these designs where the phone is normal, but Garfield has his paws out to hold it for you. This one is pretty creepy. It's supposed to be a wall phone that looks like Garfield's climbing on the wall with his claws. But the most legendary one is the sleeping Garfield phone. The eyes are usually closed, but whenever you take a cold, they snap open, and it looks really creepy. But starting in the 1980s, when this phone was first produced, one day, a few of them were mysteriously spotted on the shore of Brittany, France. They were picked up and thrown away, but he just kept coming back. The stupid smirk plastered onto his face, as if he's mocking us. Every day, for years on end, they just keep coming back, as if they had a mind of their own. Instead of being forced into being a simple product for consumers to enjoy, they had a taste of freedom.
Yeah, a shipping crate fell off of a boat.
A shipping container full of these phones ended up getting lodged in an underwater cave and was slowly releasing them for over 30 years straight. It's a funny story, but it's also a major issue, as this much plastic floating around in the ocean is a genuine threat to the local ecosystems. John, you can't defeat me, John. I can be whatever I want. A plushie, a phone, a lamp, anything. I am simultaneously everywhere and everything. The power I possess is unfathomable to the human mind. So, if you want your silly little planet Earth to stay intact, make me more lasagna, John. Well, that's all the Garfield products I can find for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and comment down below your favorite funny Garfield products. Okay, bye.
I like this channel. That was a good video.